It's a bit like jumping on a bike apparently. So I am here again and going to discuss some cross stitch and other things with you. I will start, I think, there's been so much, obviously. I've been posting on Instagram for 2 years with all my crafty endeavours, but I haven't done a video, so I don't know who of you don't follow me on Instagram and haven't seen these kinds of things. So I'm just going to be a little bit haphazard in my filmings and trying to catch you up a little bit, but not knowing exactly what you have and haven't seen. So obviously everyone is spending quite a bit of time at home. I am not in the exception there. I am as well. And look, loving everything I have. I've got quite the stash. And burrowing down deep, I had a little survey on Instagram about a month ago. What should I start next? And I held out 5 things, a varied sort of quilting projects or embroidery, or there was a Haid in there, a Lanart kit. And the overwhelming start choice was this one, Country Cotton Quilts. So it's like freehand embroidery, and it's by Red Brolly. I think Sharon from Melbourne has told me that this is not a company that's going anymore. I do have 2 or 3 of her books, and there's all different charts in there, but that's the end product. Now, when I purchased this at a local quilting store, they had a pack. So I've got a pack of, it came with fat quarters, all sort of in reds and creams. And there's some browns and things in there. I wanted to make it a little bit more sort of primitive than what that conveys. That's kind of a red and a white project with some yellows in there. So the fabrics I was given in my quilt pack isn't exactly what that is. And I'm also not a really big fan of those applique hearts. So I have decided, when I went to America 2 years ago, I brought quite a bit of stuff, and I went to Missouri Star Quilt Co, and in their primitive store I found a lot of wool for wool applique, and that was something that I've been thinking about investigating for a number of years. So I have pulled out 2 wools. I brought fat quarters. I want to say I brought about 10 different fat quarters of wool. So these are 2 that I'm going to work into this quilt. Somehow, instead of those 2 hearts, I'll do something with these and applique them on and maybe do blanket stitch around them. But there are 9 blocks in this quilt, and I have done 6. So they only took 1 to 2 nights to complete a block. They're reasonably quick. And I did them on just like a homespun cream. It wasn't part of the kit, I don't think. I think it was one I had here. I wanted to, excuse me, make it a little bit prim. So I've pulled out my walnut ink, which I've had this, I think I brought it about 20 years to paper craft with. So you mix crystals in with water and you get a spray. So I stitched these blocks, transfer the design. I used a light box. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't even have to use a light box actually. I could see the design from the book. So the book has all the designs. You just lay your fabric over the top, use a pencil, transfer it onto the clear. You couldn't do it on a multicolored fabric, but these are a cream fabric. Original color cream, so you can see the difference here once I've spread it with walnut ink. So I'm quite happy with how these are coming together. We have a pair of sheep, just a naive country style. These all get cut to with 1/2 inch or so around the square outline or the rectangle outline. A couple of chickens and some like nasturtiums or something, some bees. There's a running stitch, stem stitch, satin stitch. What else have I done? French knots for the eyeballs on the bees. There's a big hen. So there's a naivety to this style of applique, this style of embroidery, which I like. And before you start embroidery, once you've transferred on your design, you iron on some interfacing, and that just gives your, when you embroider this in a hoop, you get a little bit of stability because you don't want it to pull or to pucker because you're only using thin, like a cone of cotton. So there's some satin stitched little flowers, tulips. This is one of my favourite. I love the way the basket's turned out. So there's sunflowers there. And then we have the pumpkins. So as I said, these will all be square, well not squared up, but brought, I think it's 1/2 inch. I'll follow the directions. And they will all be put into the design that they show here. I'll follow everything else. These are easy, just strips that are going to be sewn together and then cut down into block size. It's a dead simple quilt to make. There's not going to be any problems with that. But yeah, I did want to do something different for where those hearts are. I don't know what. I might do leaves or something. I'm going to have a think about it. But once I'm finished with this project, I'll probably do a drawer for this book and pass it on because I won't have a need of this book again. I won't do any of those embroideries a second time. So oh, we've now come away. It still works. So it's been really easy. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed it. And the instructions are lovely and clear. She was big back in the day, Bronwyn Hayes. She's possibly retired, I'm not sure. So there you go. So that's a project that's on the boil. It's been a lot of fun and I can't wait to get to the quilting stage. But as ever, when I move away from cross stitch for more than a little time, it keeps calling me back and back and back and back, and I just want to get back into stitching crosses. So I am now going to show you some finishes that I've had. Again, I've had a lot of finishes in the last couple of years. They're all up on my Instagram. I'll show you in person some of them, and over the coming videos I'll show you others. So here was one. I am of late needing to do my finishing like pretty well with zero cost. Excuse me. And this was a frame that I picked up, I want to say for 50 cents from a charity shop years ago. And it had a oriental picture on it, painted oriental picture. But I really liked the look of this. So all I've done is painted that white or cream colour, whatever paint I had here, and then framed my green aria from Lynart. Isn't that stunning? Those palm fronds just went on and on and on. Thought I was going to die stitching palm fronds. They never ended. But this is such a beautiful chart. Now I have this hanging up in my bedroom, and it sits in front of a above a table. I've got a wooden table that has a parlour palm on it, so it echoes this picture perfectly. And I've got a green bedroom wall, so I'm very happy with that finish. Again, Lynart green aria, green ara, I want to say. That chart, oh, I must have brought it 10 years ago. Again, I'm not going to remember this stuff exactly. Don't hold me to anything, you know. So this I got framed last year. I did have some finishes last year that I put in end of last year, I want to say. And this was the Tiger Lily Pixie Couture collection. I just pulled out the black beads and the black sort of bits and did like an ornate. I did pay for this. It's a fabricy. It's sparkly fabric. Oh, I don't know what it is. Looks like it might be 32 count. This hangs in my daughter's room. She was quite taken with it. And that fabric and that chart, unbeknownst to me, I had it in my collection. I brought it when it came out and it was sitting there. And a few years ago, someone put it up on Instagram as their, Sarah Loves Stitching, put it up as their unicorn chart. And I said, oh, I've got that. I'll start mine and then send it to you. And she kindly sent back 2 charts. So we swapped charts. Because, you know, something might be out of print, but it doesn't mean it's worth any more to me because if I already own it, I'm just going to stitch it and then pass it on. So I'm generous like that. Here's another finish I had from Long Dog Sampler. Something about a garden. It's a French sounding title. Anyway, look it up. It's very pretty. Now this suffered from the dye lot issue, but can you tell? In the greys. No, see, you can't even, you'd have to be really right up on it to have a look and notice it, so I'm not going to bring it to your attention. But this was a piece, I love stitching this. This is just fun. And again, just an ornate, silvery, pewtery looking frame. That I passed on to my friend Sandra in Melbourne, and she's having a go at that now. I do see this getting stitched quite a bit. It's a beautiful Long Dog Sampler. So I started that in a sale with Donna from Scotland, actually. Years ago. Goodness, must be 3 years ago. Now, last week I did a little survey on mirrors and I have tallied my results and started and pulled aside the 3 that I'm going to have a start on. But I quite confidently spoke to you about the whips, and I looked back through the video and I thought, I have more than 2 mirror whips. Yes, I found the other 2 missing mirror whips, and ironically the other one of them was sitting like 2 meters in that direction. So, as I say, look, I'm a pure professional. That's why I get paid the big money here. That's why I get paid the big money. Nothing but professionalism. So, one of the other whips was actually one that Sarah gave me for that Tiger Lily. Now, she's called Bluebell, another Pixie Couture. And I got quite a ways on this, but I haven't stitched on this for a little while now. It's probably been a year since I've had a good play with her. She's on an even weave of like a lavender, and I liked that tone on tone look for her. And I'm using something here. I'm doing something clever and I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, there we are. So again, I wish I could have you all over to play in my stash. I had a friend over to play in my stash, Pammy. She loved it. So I wish I could have you all visit. You can help me coordinate stuff. I have got just tons of stuff. Anyway, so I didn't want to buy any Krynic or anything for her wings. So I found this in my stash. And I remember this from years ago, this Madeira. Now, what are they calling it? It's like a blending filament, but not the nasty blending filament. Some of that stuff from the 90s, Losing the Will to Live. This is not too bad, but it's thin and you don't really want to double it up. So 1 strand of DMC with 1 strand of that. So it sits nice. Is this going to show well? And that's the look I'm getting from the leaves, from her wings. So it is, now on her wings here, her wings here are quite aqua, and by doing those, I'm making them a little bit more yellow-green. So I'm liking that play on colour. That was a very purposeful choice. And I have found some other, oh, here we go again with another Madeira and some dyed thread. Oh, that was something Annette sent me from California. Yeah, the over-dyed thread. So just playing with a blending filament and an over-dyed or a DMC and getting that lovely blend. So that was a fun project. I sort of picked colours as I went. Strike a like, people. I really hope I've taken notes here of what I did. Oh yeah. Because I can't remember now as I'm talking to you, because that's a year since I've touched any of that. See, this is what Ali does. She gets all excited, enthusiastic, starts something and goes, yep, that's simple, I'll remember that. And then put it down, and then 5 years later you pick it up. And you've lost a few more brain cells and memories. Okay. So happy with that. She'll come out to play again one day. Not sure when she'll be invited out, but she will be invited out. Because it was fun. It was fun picking those colours and going off away from what was sort of asked to stitch. And the other whip in my Mira stash that I forgot to show you, again, hashtag pure professional, is a Tree of Life. And this is I got the fabric, the chart, and the Karen water lilies in a kit when Carissa was destashing. And I started work on this. It's a something of a something. It's a nice fabric, and I don't know what it is. And I did get quite a way there. Look at that. I had quite a bout of monogamous stitching when I was on this. I really loved it, and I just stayed with it, and it was fun, and I was listening to lots of podcasts and just going for it. So I feel like I am quite a ways in on that project, more than halfway, and it was fun. I loved it. So I will get back there on that. But in the meantime, because I'm a lunatic, I put out your survey, showed you my mirrors, asked what you thought I should start, and you came back with your answers. I didn't want to keep it open forever because I'm impatient like that. So the winners were, I said I'm open to starting 3, and I thought, what the hell, why not? So the first one was Santa. Santa was beloved, so I'm going to start Santa. I've put aside the vintage country mocha 32 count. I've looked out all the threads, so he'll get started. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep going on these mirrors until I feel like it's time to start the next one. Another one that's going to get a start is the pirate. Everyone loved the pirate. I called her a sexy beast, so that got a vote from Letitia. She thought that was hilarious. And I'm going to stick with, I think, the raw linen or not that blue. So she's going to get a little bit of a go soon. But the one I started, I want to say 2 days ago now, 2 nights ago, was Athena. So these all came in around the same amount of votes each, and they were the top 3. Mika really wanted me to start this, darling Bluebell, because she's got a thing for blue, and there's blue drapes. So there we go, the start of the pillars and the start of that draping blue bit. So we're in this top corner here. I started top left because it's a rectangle design and I felt like it. This is on a fabric from Silkweaver. 18 count Golden Harvest. It's got a slight sheen to it. It's quite an unusual fabric. I like it, and it's mottled. So it has a little bit of an aged look, which is appropriate for a Greek goddess theme for a chart. So they're the 3 mirrors that got voted to get a go-ahead. So they're the ones I am racing off with. So they're the mirrors. Something I was working on last week and I've been shown on Instagram. I think I showed you on the video as well. And I'm putting away for now, but I did get quite a lot done. So I'll show you where I got up to. I have been enjoying this once I got sorted my issue with not actually being able to see the holes, which was brought on by 32 count linen, and obviously it's hand dyed, so it's probably more like 35 or 36 now. It's quite small and I just couldn't see it. So this is Modern Folk Embroidery, Jane Austen's celebration piece, celebrating being at home. We've come along the bottom here, got all our buildings. Oh, that's the black thread. So I'm just doing this in black DMC, and it's on a copper penny 32 count linen from Traditional Stitches, I think it's called. That's going to be stunning. I'll probably end up getting that nicely framed. I have been looking in my frame stash and there's nothing here that will fit it, I think. So I'll have to see how I go with that. Now, I wanted to discuss where did I put it? Doesn't matter because doesn't matter, people. I didn't bring it in, so we won't discuss that. That'll be another time. I hope you're all well. We are having a busy time in isolation here and staying busy at home, still doing a little bit of work. I was back at work last Monday, which was unexpected, but that's fine. I can work that around sort of getting things done at home here. I stitch like a demon every night. Sport hasn't started back for us, so there's no need for me to be out at night time. Obviously, the government has just started lifting restrictions a little bit from the 1st of May, so people will be allowed to go out and go to picnics and whatever, and jet ski, and I think boating was the other thing they mentioned will be allowed. So we don't jet ski or boat, but we do like a picnic. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I have reinvigorated my love of Mosaic. I haven't brought it in. What I have got is a lot of materials. They were lead-like glass, which is a really nice way to get a nice multicoloured sort of mosaic project in lovely sort of the glass can be quite like fabric and a lot of different, not patterns, but, you know, dimpled glass or mirror glass, or, you know, I felt a real sense of working with the mosaics this week that working with quilt blocks brings me. So that's been invigorating, but I've got it all set up in my barbecue area laid out. And then at night I just put a cloth over it and cover it, an old quilt. So, and then I just lift that quilt off and I can work on it for about an hour a day. I do have lunch and then I duck out there in the middle of the day and have a rest because it's generally too hot to be out in the yard at that time of the day. So I sneak in a little bit of mosaic there. It's beautiful. And I can see myself sort of going out and mosaicing at night in summer because it's really nice out there and it'll be too hot during the day, and I can sort of have some nice sort of summer nights out there mosaicing. So that was something I discovered. Oh, I had the children. There was a wave. I don't know if this happened in America and the state, UK and wherever else you might be watching. So in Australia, there was a whole wave of people having mosaic parties at home. So the demonstrator would come in. You'd pay maybe $10 or $15 to attend a mosaic party at your friend's house, like a Tupperware party setup. And you'd make a little coaster, or you'd make just a little something. And the idea was that you dabbled in this, you loved it, and then she had her catalogue there and you could buy the products and get going. Well, people were having parties, and then they'd go around and each one would have a party, and then you'd be collecting all your little mosaic sort of finished pieces as you went around. And I got quite engaged with it, and oh, excuse me so much for yawning. I was a quilter prior to picking up mosaic, so I already had that sort of eye for colour and combining things, and I got quite engaged with it. But my children were young, very young. I want to say like 1 and 2 or something. So I couldn't leave stuff. I mean, it's sharp glass. I couldn't leave it out. I have got the cutting tools. So it was something sort of got put away. But I do remember towards the end of me having it out and trying to work on it. And it was a little bit troublesome with the girls being so young. A local older gentleman who used to teach lead light in his house, so he's in my area, put an ad in the paper, and he was selling his glass. He was going to retire, and he had his offcuts and things from making lead light lamps and whatnot for many decades. Yeah, and he used to teach at his house. He put I think it was a picture in the paper. It was pre-internet. And it was stupid price. And I think I was just the first person on the phone. I rang him and said, wow, you only want, this much for all of that, whatever it was. I'm not even going to guess. I don't remember. And I thought, you know what? I know at the moment I'm going to put my mosaics away, but I think I'd be silly not to grab all these multitude of beautiful coloured glasses and, dimpled glass and all beautiful, beautiful pattern glass and just gorgeous. So I did get that from him, and it pretty well went away. And I remember getting containers from the cheap store and sorting them out into blues and greens and pinks and reds and yellows and oranges, and having them all colour categorised, ready for the time that I could pull them back out and play with them again. Well, we fast forward 15 years, and I'm sitting, when I reorganised every year at Christmas time, I have 6 weeks off around Christmas time. We have a break, and I saw them, and I've pulled them out and put them on a shelf with the idea that this year was going to be the year that mosaic would re-enter my life. And I was looking at them the other week, and I thought, you know what, I'm pulling them out now or never. I can set them up in the barbecue area, and it's been lovely. I've sort of flicked through my books and refreshed my mind about different techniques and things, and really looking forward to sort of putting all that together. So in that process of thinking about what I wanted to mosaic, because it's quite an interesting craft and it's very, very old. So for those of you who don't know anything about it and feel interested in looking it up, I will show, when I've got some finished items, I will bring them in and I'll show them on a video to you, and I'll show you my inspiration in the books that I'm going through as well. I've got some beautiful books. If you've learn anything from watching me over the years, it is if when I get into something, I get into it. I want the supplies, I want the books, I want the knowledge, I want the materials, I want the equipment. Generally don't go into getting really expensive equipment. I'm quite good at getting what I need out of this sort of the cheaper way to enter a hobby, just purely for practical purposes, because I've got so much of so many things. So we can't all, go out and get as much as I'd love, like a sweet $16,000 quilting machine, long arm quilter. No, I can do that on my domestic machine. I'd love Cricut, a machine, a die cut machine and a heap of dies for your paper crafting. No, I work around that. So yeah, I haven't gone to that extreme. But yeah, there's lots of things that you can do within a hobby to work within and use the supplies in a clever way and still get that functionality of tools and things amongst what you've got. So mosaics, I've got enough to get on with, and in that time I was always on the lookout. What am I going to collect that I'm going to mosaic in the future? So my mother-in-law used to be a bowler, so I've got her old bowling ball, and I'm going to mosaic, and that's going to be a garden ornament. And my uncle was getting rid of, he's a lawn bowler, and he had old lawn bowls, and I was at his house one day and he said, oh, I'm getting rid of those. Do you want the kids? They can muck around. Whatever it is, lawn bowls must go off kilter or you need to replace them anyway. So I've got 4 of those. And he said, oh, the kids can muck around with them in the yard. I said, no, I'm going to mosaic them. So straight away, I knew what I wanted to do with them. So I've got one big bowling ball, four smaller lawn bowls to mosaic to just put in. I love the images I see where you've got a lovely garden bed of maybe, beautiful green lush plants and this really bright ornamental piece, which is the mosaic. So I really love that concept, and I'm thinking of how I can incorporate colours. I will have to seal those items. I think I'll seal them. I'll have a think about that. One of my books actually talks about that. And we'll go forward from there. So I have got a lot of pieces of MDF wood. I've got a Lazy Susan. I've got like letter holders. I've got a little box that I started mosaicing this week. Again, it's sitting out there and I didn't want to bring it in until I've stuck everything down on it. And I do now need to grout it. And hopefully I'm aiming for next week that I can show you some finished mosaic pieces instead of just talking about it. But I've done a lot of sticking on this week, and then next week will be a grouting week. I am looking forward to that. I have mosaiced my garden bench down in my garden shed. I mosaiced some pavers on top of bricks. I had 2 bricks this way and 1 brick this way. It became a rectangle, and I mosaiced over the top of that with broken up bathroom ceramic tiles, and I went and brought pink and blue ones. When I show finished mosaic items on my Instagram account, I'll take photos of the other mosaic projects around my property and show you so you can see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work out how to insert photos. So this is only the second video I've done on my iPhone, and I just uploaded the last one last week. If I can work out how to insert a photo, because obviously on this phone is all my photos I put on Instagram. If I can work out how to insert a photo from this into a video, then I can fancy me videos up a little bit. You won't know who you're watching then if you have fancy videos from Ali. If you didn't watch me last time I had videos, I generally don't edit. I do one take. I don't cut videos. I just talk. I am more than capable of speaking in public, so I don't need to do multiple takes. I just hit go and talk and stop and upload. But I don't know. Hopefully adding a photo is a skill. I might be able to talk, but I don't know technology. So let's see. Let's see if this old dog Ali can teach herself a trick about inserting photos. I'm sure because it's an iPhone, it's going to be quite user-friendly. They may be my last famous words. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with that. But anyway, thank you all of you who have resumed watching my channel. You might think it was quite weird years ago when I stopped filming. It was a few months prior to me going to the New Jersey Flosstube retreat, and I did delete all my videos because I kept getting asked when I was going to film again, and I thought if my videos are up there, it's just going to have people constantly asking me that. And we're under quite a lot of stress and busyness, and I didn't want that extra thing on top of my life in, pressure for that. So at the moment, I think I will have enough content and enough interesting things to show to film once a week, which I cannot believe I'm saying I'm going to film once a week. That's just, I was so ad hoc last time I filmed. So we'll see how we go. We'll see what happens. At the moment, I'm only working in the morning and the afternoons. No sporting schedule because everything's locked down at the moment. But another job will kick in for me when sports does go back. I'm going to be the convener of the tuck shop there. So that will be 10 to 12 hours on a Sunday. So maybe talking braille by Sunday nights. So whether you're going to actually get too much talking from me at the end of a 12-hour shift in a kitchen, I'm not sure. So regarding Laurie, Mr. Stitches, my friend Laurie, was inquiring how I'm going just before on Instagram. I looked at a post. Honey, we're fine. We're good. The girls are in fantastic health. So is hubby. He's a bit quiet with work. I've gone back this week. No sport, no gyms. Gyms are shut. So I got up to sort of training 5 or 6 days a week at the gym. So obviously that's gone. I've got no softball training. Just going for walks, doing lots of yard work around here at the moment, which is fantastic. The weather's been stunning. So we're having sort of 27, 28, 29 degree days. We are in autumn. Coolish nights, but nothing, cool. 17 degrees. Cool. It's crazy. We are in subtropical. I come from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia, for those of you watching from overseas who don't know who I am and haven't heard of me before. So I hope you continue to enjoy watching my Flosstube chats. I have a few different things I'll show. I also quilt. So the last quilt I just finished was about a month ago as a baby quilt for a friend. So that's been handed on now, so I can't show you that. But please jump on my Instagram account if you're interested in seeing other things. Now, I told a fib last week. I told you it was Ali Stitching Studio and it all runs together. It doesn't. It's got underscore Ali underscore Stitching underscore Studio because technology and I are not friends. And my daughter has had to help me with something. But something happened with my YouTube channel last time and passwords, and I don't remember, and it's less than interesting, so I'm not going to repeat what I do remember. But also something happened with my Instagram account. So we had to change something there as well. So it's Ali underscore Stitching underscore Studio from memory. Check it out. It's a private account, so you will have to request to follow me, but that's fine. And the little image is a giraffe. Now let me tell you a story. There's a reason why there's a giraffe as a profile picture. He's a little giraffe I met, not little, he's a big boy, at Australia Zoo. But for years I had different images there, like a finished project or something. And as soon as I put my picture up as a profile picture, my face, so not saying I'm glamorous and this is why I get stalked, but as soon as I would have 10 doctors wanting to become my friend and private messaging me. And I just thought, what? And so I'd take my face off and put up another project, they'd stop. As soon as I put my face back up. And so this went on and off, and it was just driving me nuts because I thought, well, it helps if you've got a Flosstube channel and Instagram account that people can see, oh, that is the right person. I've seen that lady. That's her face, blah, blah. So I made it private, and I said to my daughters, what can I do? And they said, what it is when robots and bot accounts identify a female face or a male face, then they try and activate their scam accounts. I went, okay, that makes sense. So it's nothing to do with me. It's the fact that it's a female profile picture and then the male bots. And it'll be the reverse if it's a male image, and then the female bots will try and bait them and get them interested and build up their numbers and whatnot. So I had a lady on Instagram that said something about she's sick of all these, people propositioning her on stuff on Instagram. And I said to her, look, just change your profile picture from a human face to a project or whatever you want, a flower or something. Just make sure it's not your face, and they should stop overnight. And she did, and they stopped. So just a little hint for any of you that have an Instagram, your profile pic is your face, you most likely will get hassled all the time. And it's just, it's not flattering, it's just bloody annoying. So when I found out it was that simple to fix that problem, bang, I did it. So there's a little giraffe, giraffe, Larry. He's from Australia Zoo, and he's in my profile pic. So I'll tell you a story about Larry another time. But I'm going to go because I'm trying to keep my videos around 30 minutes, and I see I'm getting to nearly 40 here. So thank you very much for spending your little bit of time with Ali from Ali Stitching Studio. Thank you for voting on my next Mirabilia start. I had a lot of fun starting my Athena. My goals for this week, keep stitching on her. I'll stitch on her every night, I think. I want to get a little bit of mosaic work finished, so hopefully next Sunday I can be in here and show you some finished mosaic pieces. I'll have some more show and tell because I've had lots of finishes in the last couple of years that you haven't seen live in a video. So I'll pull some more of those off the walls and show you those. If you do follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that. I'll do a little bit more stash diving. I really like these stash dive videos. Laurie from Mischievous Stitches, that was a beautiful idea to go back through, and because it's quite like, I haven't done it for a long time, but when I worked in our business and I had downtime and I'd be on the computer and I'd be, you know, just looking through stuff, this and stalking different websites and looking at 1, 2, 3 and whatnot. I think looking at people's stash is a similar thing, isn't it? Looking at their projects and thinking, oh, I'd like that. And I don't really have anything new. All my stuff is of a certain vintage. I'm trying to think of the newest chart I'd have. Probably that modern folk embroidery, the Jane Austen piece. I brought that at Christmas this year, but then I don't know when that was released, if that was a newish thing then or I've just stumbled across it then. I'm not really up to date with things. I have looked at the lot of the market things. I don't want to spend any money on cross stitch at the moment, but I would probably, I really like that Newcastle sampler from Teresa Kogut. I would probably look at that, and those circle ones from Hands On Designs. They're stunning. Again, can't tell you the name of it. Kathy Haberman's. There's maybe a dozen or so. They're like buttons. They're round. I thought they were clever. But if I do a stash dive and I walk you through my charts and patterns, that could be a series. And then you will say, Ali, no, don't buy anything. I think I will slowly show you my stash. I've got 3 or 4 tubs of whips. I think I sit at about 40 or 50 whips. So that's fun. So we can do a whip parade. We can do, I've got a tub of full coverage kitted, and all sorts of things. I think I've about 30 or 40 full coverage charts and this and that and the other. So I'm going to go. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I will see you again next Sunday, fingers crossed. Have a lovely week and stitch and craft all the things, my friends. Bye.